Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis updated commodities, work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'll interject my financial opinions as we go. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into these topics, deeper into the individual sectors and companies looking for investment opportunities. We do have a coupon code Mayday that is active, Mayday, one word, and that's 50% off the first month as a trial month. You can always sign up for the yearly membership and also get a larger discount. Let's dive in. Let's take a look and see what we got going on today. Stronger dollar, and sometimes when other currencies, their monetary policies are going down faster than what's going on in America, that's where you get the DXY potentially heading higher. I know there's some rate cuts floating around there. So we're up in the dollar 0.36%. And then we saw interest rates fall. We saw the 2-year dive bombing today, down 2.5%. And that definitely looks like we've broken out of that trend line to the downside. When this dive bombs lower, that's generally when the slowdown is acknowledged and seen. And it also, the market is more encouraged that the Federal Reserve is going to cut rates. So it's the 2-year that is front running what the Federal Reserve is going to do here at some point in the near future. So we're seeing a big move lower in the 2-year yield, another big move lower in the 10-year yield as well. And that definitely is gapping away from that trend line to the downside. And it looks like further downside is definitely possible. Strong yield moves to the downside and closing quite strong. So we could see further yields declining, and this could be the beginning of the market acknowledging that rate cuts are needed and that a slowdown will be coming here any second or has already occurred. The 30-year also down some, and we're heading towards that lower end of the support zone for the 30-year yield. TYX TNX ratio, it is ripping higher. So the short end of the curve is falling more than the long end. That is generally supportive of a higher gold price. So when this goes and it comes and uninverts, precious metals, specifically gold's got the strongest correlation to it, goes on up. Bond prices are starting to break out of that downtrend, and it looks like we are ready to head higher. So bonds are actually looking quite good. We were up today 0.6%. So prices up, yields down, and that looks like we could continue for a little while with that breakout in bond prices on TLT. The 2 and 10, we are still inverted. We are coming down. It is uninverting, and we're getting closer and closer to the 1% level where it's down here, where the 2 goes below the 10. So it equals out, flattens, and then eventually uninverts, steepens. So that's what we've got going on right now. Gold's up $14 an ounce, so that's kind of expected. Sometimes gold can be impacted by sell everything events, which we had today. It was basically a sell everything across the board event. But sometimes gold can be impacted by it, and today it's not. It's up $14.7 per ounce. Silver's down a little bit, and if we continue to get lower yields, lower dollar, because we had a stronger dollar today, I suspect that this would go up with time. So silver, platinum, it's going to do the same thing. We had a sell everything event. It was down today, but again, we'll see. We're still underneath resistance, and we got to break through that support level. When things sell off, and I don't know if they're going to sell off more, it very well could. Everything can sell off depending on the strength of the sell-off. It can be like a liquidity type move where people need to sell kind of everything. Palladium down also, and that's still around that support level. And that still looks just fine. It still looks good. It's just a bigger sell-off day today. GDX down, GDXJ down, and SILJ down. They're all the same thing. for the most part. And nothing's really changed there. GDXJ is still underneath resistance. I do suspect that this is going to break to the upside given that TYX TNX ratio moving up. It doesn't mean it will move up every single day. It just means that the currents or the tailwinds are behind it. And still J getting a little bit bigger sell off, but it still looks good. I still think this will head higher with if the yield curve uninverts, and I suspect that's going to happen with yields going down. XE to gold ratio, we did see underperformance of gold and silver mining companies, but it's still positioned in a very good location for an outperformance of gold and silver mining companies against gold. So that still looks great. Crude oil down 1.19%. A little bit of selling pressure today. We had a big move yesterday. This is a real big question here because sometimes when this yield curve uninverts, we can see a washout sale. Think of it as similar to this time in history here. So if I were to yank that and grab it for a comparison, what I think is coming is this guy here. And I've said this before, sometimes you get these washout sales. So I'm just going to kind of do this. And what I think is occurring here, or could occur, is that this kind of overlays on top of it. And we're going through this. Let me move it like this here. So that's last bull market. And we're coming through there. And this here is kind of like that move there. It's very similar. And then you get a break. We're doing very similar moves in here where we might have to go back and forth and eventually break on out. I don't know if we're going to get a washout sale, capitulation sale before that, like this right here. We could, and it very well could occur. We've seen it occur in history. It happens a lot where they kind of fake everyone out, but it's possible that we already went through it as well. So it's a difficult read. We'll see what happens. But crude oil typically, when you get these three hump consolidations, 1, 2, 3, sometimes you get these washed out sales like where that X is before it slingshots higher. That's the slingshot that I talk about. So crude oil was down, and we still need to see how much selling pressure is left or if we just bubble on up to the upside. TTF gas moving on higher. That actually looks really strong. It looks really strong. Natural gas in America back to support in the sell everything event. But natural gas, yep, we're at support. XOP, yeah, you know me. Big selling pressure day today, down 3%. We're back to support of this trend line going across right there. So we'll see if it holds. We'll see if there's any follow through tomorrow with selling pressure. We do have a lot of selling pressure, these big red candlesticks that are coming all through here. They are showing themselves up. That is the red army. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is follow through left to the downside if the markets get a little bit spooked for whatever reason. OIH also selling off pretty hard today, 4.3%. It still looks good, though. We're still above support on a lot of stuff, and we'll see if there's any follow through tomorrow. Newcastle coal working its way on up actually looks very good. And again, I'm in the camp that this is going to go either higher or sideways at worst. Keep in mind, TTF nat gas has been working its way on up, and no surprise, coal's been working its way up too. I think there is a correlation there. And we could probably, in CF1, we could probably overlay just to see what this looks like. And there's that correlation of coal versus nat gas on the movements, not the size of the movements, but the movements themselves, just to show you they are correlated. Sprout Physical Uranium Trust, getting some selling pressure today, down, well, most everything did, 4.3%. And again, we'll see if there's any follow through tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. Uranium futures pricing headed higher, and that is looking good to break to the upside. Is this a capitulation move at the end of trend? Difficult to say, but it very well could be because this looks pretty bullish in my opinion for the uranium futures pricing here. Looks very good to move higher. URA, I mean, obviously everything got caught up in this selling pressure move. Big sell-off there. Again, we'll have to wait and see if there's any follow-through tomorrow and if there's any more selling pressure. We are below this trend line, and I thought maybe we could come up and tag it. Maybe that's all we received was yesterday before a larger move lower. It is still possible that that could occur, and it's a pretty ugly day that finished quite strong. That also occurred in URNM and URNJ, and it's all the same setup. Underneath resistance, support, breakout. Usually you get a retest, and maybe that's all we could muster, and then a selling pressure move lower. We've got good support down here at about $17-ish, $18. Copper also selling off. Big bearish engulfing occurring today. Sometimes these bearish engulfings aren't as strong when you're starting to get real low off of a high like this. But again, we'll see if there's any follow through tomorrow. We've got support $3.90 or something. COPX also selling off, just like everything else. Iron ore down a little bit, not as bad as the others. This one doesn't look too bad. We're right at support, long-term support here. We've got aluminum down, big selling pressure right on support. Nickel is up, surprisingly, and we'll see if we can work our way sideways here and start to base out. Mu is down 1.88%. We've got a lot of support underneath us. Still looks okay. Now, I would change my mind if we get strong follow through tomorrow and it just starts to waterfall decline, but at that time, we're not there yet. Emerging markets down, selling off with everything else down 1.75. Regional banks selling off 4.5% today. Kind of just a yucky day across the board there. This has also had a monster move in the short term, all the way from 45 up to 59. TAN's down. Nothing got spared here, guys. Everything was pretty much down. Lithium down 3.11. Momentum still to the downside. RMX down 3.32. Momentum downward. Still shows bearish candlesticks. Baltic Dry Index right up, basically sitting on top of support now. We'll see if that holds or if there's further downside pressure. XHB down 3.22%. Pretty big day, down day today. And again, we'll have to wait and see if there's any follow through on this thing. But generally, when you get these big selling pressure candlesticks, if you start getting a lot of them in a row, it could be distribution where people are selling things off. Russell 2000, it's down 3%, but it's still above support, so still looks good. Still looks good. We've got S&P 500 down. That is a bearish engulfing. I do suspect that this wants to go lower. And this is a bearish formation. So we'll see if we spill lower. NASDAQ also getting a lot of selling pressure. Big bearish engulfing here. And it's got that stair-step pattern that could easily head lower here. So we'll see if we head lower over the next few days, weeks, and see if we break out of this pattern here to the downside. SMCI down 4%. This is a bearish formation where you enter here. This could be considered a bull trap, and then you break out of the bull trap to the downside, which we've done. It does look pretty bearish there. We've got NVIDIA also down 6.6%. Bearish engulfing candlesticks, momentum lower. And we'll see if there's follow through on this selling pressure the next few days, weeks. Support's down here at $90 to $95. BTC also feeling the pressure, down 1.77, and Ethereum down 3.34. And I've got that channel kind of like that. Some people would also say maybe it's some sort of topping pattern that falls. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see if there's follow through though. But that's what I've got for today, guys. Thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you guys need any help with anything. That is Mayday coupon code. We did have a question and answer session coming up. It is at Saturday, 7 a.m. That's the next question and answer session. And we did release the midweek update yesterday. If you still want to see that. All right, guys. We'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.